Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you, and how you be? William Haynes here, you there, here at 12:15 on this Saturday morning with 4 seconds to go along with it. Should have been on a late Friday night, but a rain delay in Camden Yards in Baltimore pushed what would have been a 7:30 first pitch out to nearly 8:30. So here we are, technically on an early Saturday morning. Remember, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. We have a line open, and we love to hear from you talking tonight's disappointing Rays loss. It was a 6-3 loss at the hands of the Baltimore Orioles. The Rays dropped to 4-4. The Orioles advancing to 3-3. They're making a little bit of a run. So reminding you once again to reach out and call in if you want to discuss your Rays thoughts. We've got a lot on the show. Probably going to move it along a little bit quicker than I would have. It's a little later than I wanted to be on the air. I'm a little bit tired, as I'm sure you, the listener, are as well. But last night I did promise some hockey previews. We do have that ready for you. We have some MLB news, general kind of stuff to go down. But, of course, as we do every night as we come on before every Rays game, we're going to talk about the Rays game first. If you're not familiar with the program, we take a break on the 20s to give you some sports updates. Pretty much every score is final right now. NBA, I think there's a game in overtime, and then just a couple of games in baseball on the West Coast. So pretty much just giving you some final scores. So without further ado, we're going to start dissecting this Rays 6-3 loss at the hands of the Baltimore Orioles. Obviously, a game the Rays should have won. This is a team that they really cannot afford to lose to. You have to take wins where you can get them. And when you see a team like the Yankees winning, what is it at this point, 20 straight against the Orioles, the Rays would be better served to play that way. Of course, it was Blake Snell getting the start. It was a no decision for him. Fairbanks ended up getting tagged with the loss, but we'll get to that. And then it was Alex Cobb, the former Ray, giving the O's 4 innings, Pat Fry the win, and it was a Cole Sulser save who got blown up by Aaron Judge last night, so a nice little turnaround for him. So we start out in the top of the first. It is Ji-Man Choi who is in the leadoff spot. He went 1 for 4 tonight, also worked a walk, couple of strikeouts, and he struck out to open the game. He chased on an off-speed for Alex Cobb. He did have his changeup and his slider working pretty good. So then Choi struck out. Then it was a Brandon Lowe ground out. And with 2 outs, it was Willie Adames doubling down the left field line. And it was Yoshi Tsutsugo on a 2-strike count getting an RBI double. So back-to-back doubles, all of a sudden in the first inning, it is a Rays 1-0 lead, and then Yandy Diaz grounds out to end the inning. Bottom of the first, the leadoff man for the O's, Austin Haynes, gets aboard on a Willy Adames error. More defensive miscues for the Rays. That's something that has been plaguing this team, something that they laud themselves as, what's supposed to carry the franchise, pitching and defense. And I'm sure every team is dealing with this right now. I don't know exactly. I mean, I can guarantee you defensive efficiency and routine play rate and all that stuff has got to be down for all teams. But the Rays, a team that needs to be sound defensively, have certainly struggled in that department. Ji-Man Choi with at least an error as well, and Willy Adames has not had a great year defensively at shortstop thus far, and he did an error, committed an error in the bottom of the first to get a man aboard for the O's, and then when it was an Alberto double to make it men at first, or to make it men at second and third with nobody out. It was an unproductive out, and then Santander strikeout. So then it was second and third with 2 outs, and then it was Blake Snell getting Severino to fly out. So Blake Snell getting off to a decent start at that point. Got into a jam, but got out of it. And we head to the top of the second inning. It was Manny Margot hitting a 2-out double, a Mike Zunino walk. He was 5 of 10 with a grand slam versus Alex Cobb in his career. So that makes sense as to why he was in the lineup and not the lefty Michael Perez against the righty Alex Cobb. So he walks. On the day, he was 0 for 3. That walk was the only time he reached base. Also struck out a couple of times. His average is all the way down to 133. I mean, really a rough start for this entire Rays lineup, top to bottom. Some more struggles from the leadoff spot and the top of the lineup. Willy Adames did give him a decent game offensively, hitting at the third spot. So maybe the Rays have found something there. And then, so you got a couple of men on at first and second with 2 out. Again, it's Margot at second, Zunino at first. Ji-Man Choi in a full count, works a walk to load the bases. And then, of course, it is Brandon Lowe grounding out to end the inning. He was 1 for 4 tonight. His average is all the way down to 300 after the red-hot start. He did pick up his first home run of the year, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Head to the bottom of the second inning. It was Blake Snell striking out the side. This is where he really began to heat up. He was only supposed to go 3 or 4 innings. He only pitched 48 times in his first start. He pitched 53 times tonight. Probably would have gone a little bit longer if not for that blow-up he had in that 4th inning. Did not record an out, but the damage certainly ended up speaking for itself. Top of the 3rd inning, it was Willie in a 10-pitch at-bat, working a walk, so Willy Adames really in a good place right now at the plate. Not so much defensively, so it's kind of a reverse Willie, if you will, a guy that was good at defensively at shortstop but struggled with the bat at times last year. Right now it is exactly the opposite. And then it was Renfroe with an RBI double, so that makes it 2-0 Rays. So you think maybe the Rays, with a good Blake Snell start in the offense, putting up a couple of runs early, which they haven't done. I forgot to mention that first inning run was the first time this year that the Rays had scored in the first inning out of 8 games. So it took them this long to get on the board in the first inning. And so that was the end of it. But at the end of the top of the 3rd, it was 2-0 Rays. Then in the bottom of the 3rd, it was Blake Snell working another 1, 2, 3 innings. So he had retired. What was it at that point? Let's see. That would have been 9. He retired 9 men in a row. So Blake Snell really got in a groove at that point in the game. So as we said, first third of the game, it was 2-0 Rays. We go to the top of the 4th. It was a 1, 2, 3 inning, which was Alex Cobb's first time doing that in the game. And then the bottom of the 4th inning, this is where things got a little bit hairy. It was Nunez leading the inning off with a double, and then it was Santander with a 2-run shot to tie the game. Now, what was interesting about this play is it barely got over the wall in Camden Yards. I think it was right center. Kevin Kiermaier was there, made a jumping play. A play that we've seen him make I don't want to say dozens of times, but you think Kevin Kiermaier, that's almost routine for him. It ends up bouncing off of his glove and going over the fence. It was a weird play. It looked like he kind of got caught on the wall. He certainly didn't play it right. A miscue. Definitely a rough couple of days for him after really being... He wasn't the final out last night, but he didn't slide because he thought it was a foul ball, but it wasn't. Ends up getting thrown out at second base. From all that. And then tonight, allowing that home run that he probably should have had in his glove, and that would have kept it... that would have prevented the 2 runs from coming across. So who knows how this game shapes out differently if Kevin Kiermaier can make that catch that he's made time and time again as a Ray. So there it is. 2-2, a tie game. And then after that, they took Blake Snell out right after that. So his final line, he throws 53 pitches. He goes 3 innings, gives up 3 earned runs on 4 hits as the inherited base runner comes across the score. Is that right? Yeah, and then didn't walk anybody, struck out 4, and gave up those 2 home runs. Oh, that's right. I missed it. The after the Santander 2-run homer, it was Severino hitting a home run, so back to back, and then they took out Snell. So sorry about that. And then they take Blake Snell out. It is Peter Fairbanks coming in. It is a Ruiz single, and then Fairbanks retires the next 3 batters to get out of it. He ends up taking the loss tonight. Top of the 5th inning, immediately the Rays respond and tie it up with a solo shot from Brandon Lau, his first of the year. He hit a slider. The off-speed has been his demon at the plate. He ends up launching it for his first home run of the season, so all of a sudden you got to be feeling a little bit good about Brandon Lau. As I said, in the 2 spot, went 1 for 4 tonight. No walks, no strikeouts. His batting average is right at 300. Clean, and then the Orioles retired the next 3 at that point. That would have been Pat Fry's. Alex Cobb only went 4 innings. And then we head to the bottom of the 5th. It was Alberto, a 1-out infield single. Then he steals a base, ends up going to third on a wild pitch. Nunez works a walk, so it's runners at the corners with only 1 out. The Rays remove Fairbanks and put in Andrew Kittredge, who had a rough time out his last time against the Braves. And then right after Kittredge comes in, it's Santander hitting an RBI single to make it 4-3 Orioles. And then he gets Severino to ground into a double play. So again, with the infield single, I mean, plays that aren't going down as errors, but certainly plus defensive play would have gotten outs there. And that's something that the Rays kind of are built on, getting that, kind of stealing outs, if you will. The Rays not a club that can buy runs, but they can certainly buy run prevention. That's been the model. With the guys that they've brought in, not as much plus defensively, and I think it's starting to show. I'm not sure if that's the reason. I think this season is just a little weird, and it may take them a while to work through it. Not ready to hit the panic button at 4-4. But certainly not what you want to see the Rays on a 3-game skid after dropping the first of 3 in Baltimore. We head to the top of the 6th inning now. It was Hunter Renfroe working a leadoff walk, so good to see certainly from him as he was batting down in the order tonight. He was 1 for 3, and with that walk, he's batting only 192 on the year, so that is not a great sight. But worked the leadoff walk there, and then it was Kevin Kiermaier grounding into a double play. Manny Margot strikes out to end the inning. And then in the bottom of the 6th, they take out Aaron Kittredge and put in Aaron Loop. It was a single from Ruiz, and then Chris Davis works a walk, so it's runners at first and second with nobody out. And then the Orioles get a productive out, which makes it runners at second and third with 1 out. An unproductive out right after that. And then they take out Aaron Loop and put in, who is it but one, Diego Castillo, the man I've been calling for the Rays to put in a game for just the 2nd time this year. He pitched a clean inning a handful of days ago, only threw the ball 10 times there. He pitched the ball 3 times tonight, 2 of which were for strikes, so I have no idea. Now this has me asking even more questions, that he only came in to face that one batter when Ryan Thompson, the guy who replaced him, ended up giving a couple of runs, only one of them earned. But we'll get to that. So Castillo comes in with runners at second and third and 2 outs, and he gets the ground out. But it was 4-3 Orioles at that point. As I said, Castillo just facing that one batter. That's it. I guess it's good that we finally saw him again. There were certainly times against the Braves that Castillo probably should have been inserted into the game. I've been saying that maybe Kevin Cash knows something that we don't. I don't know exactly what's going on. He looked good, like I said, threw 3 pitches, got the 1 out in the big spot. So I guess it was still a high leverage situation. With the way Jose Alvarado is, not looking so great, I think you can maybe swap him out with Castillo. Castillo and Nick Anderson maybe being your tag team closers. But if this offense can't get things going, they won't be having any games to save. But anyway, it was Castillo getting that 1 out. I guess it was good to see him finally enter a game. We go to the top of the 7th. It was a Zunino strikeout. He had a couple of those. Then Ji-Man Choi gets a double. Lau gets hit by a pitch. And then it was Willie Adames working a full count, strikes out. Up comes Yoshi Tsutsugo, works another full count, and also strikes out. It was a check swing, but he went around. So you had runners at first and second with only 1 out, and you had the next 2 guys work decent at bats, but both striking out. That's kind of been the MO for the Rays offensively. They take pitches, and I think honestly they're living and dying by that right now. They're working some walks. But they're not being the aggressors at the plate unless it's Jose Martinez who just waves at everything and strikes out. But the offense certainly not in a great place right now. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning, as I said, Diego Castillo out, Ryan Thompson in. He finished his ball game, 2 innings pitched, threw the ball 40 times. That takes him out of consideration, you would think, for the next couple of days. It was Nunez hitting a 1-out single. Santander gets a single right after that, so it's first and second with 1 out. And then Severino, the catcher, legging out an infield single, more defensive miscues, if you will. So that loaded the bases with 1 out. It was Ruiz reaching base on a fielder's choice, and of course with the bases loaded, that scores a run. This was a pivotal point in the game. It made it 5-3 Orioles, and it was Ji-Man Choi who was relatively close to Zunino, who was covering home, and Choi just kind of floats the throw high. Zunino has to jump to get it. Zunino didn't need to get the tag down on the runner. He just needed to have his foot on the base to get the force out. But since he had to jump to catch, which I don't understand why Ji-Man Choi had to float it like that. If you can just hit him in the glove or whatever, you get it out there and no runs come across. So I think the game could have been different at that, but Ji-Man Choi is charged for the error. I mean, he's been doing the splits, all that we saw last year, but a lot of errors that I don't really recall seeing in 2019. Unsure where they're going to go at first base. Yandy Diaz, not a guy that's plus defensively. Neither is Jose Martinez at first base. Mike Brasso, but I don't think that's a permanent answer. So, I mean, if Ji-Man Choi, I don't know if it's the shoulder thing that had to deal with that. I have no clue. That reminds me, I'm going to be checking the Twitter to see some post-game tweets when we finally head into break. I'll try and update you on all of that. So then at that point, it was 5-3 Orioles. Chris Davis strikes out and DJ Stewart strikes out. So Ryan Thompson put in a situation that wasn't necessarily entirely his fault. Works out of it with only giving up that unearned run. We head to the top of the 8th inning. The Orioles put in Michael Givens. It was Yandy Diaz in a full count working a leadoff walk. Hunter Renfroe flies out. Kevin Kiermaier on an 0-2 count strikes out. And Manny Margot working a 10-pitch at-bat that ends in a flyout. So pretty much just giving that leadoff walk right back. They couldn't do anything with it. Goes to the bottom of the 8th. It was a Alberto solo home run with 2 outs. That makes it 6-3 Orioles, and that really was the difference. Top of the 9th inning, it was Cole Sulser coming in, the guy who blew a save situation last night against the Yankees, but of course we know the Tampa Bay Rays do not have the lineup of the New York Yankees. It was Zunino striking out, Ji-Man Choi strikes out, and Brandon Lau grounds out, and about a couple minutes after that, here I am on the air. So we just got through all of that. breaking down tonight's 6-3 Rays loss. We'll give you takeaways and all of that. If you want to get some Rays thoughts off your chest, remember you can call the show at 352-639-0036. We have a line open for you at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. Probably going about another hour or so here on this early Saturday morning, talking everything sports. We've got some hockey to preview, all of that. So as I pull up the baseball scores, we're going to go get you to a 2020 sports update and head into a bit of a break, so don't go anywhere. HBC. Every game except a couple are final in MLB. It was the Twins picking up a 4-1 win over the Indians, the White Sox 3-2 over the Royals, the Tigers 7-2 over the Reds, the Braves 11-10 over the Mets. They overcame 5-run deficits at 2 points in the game. The Yankees 5-1 over the Red Sox, the Mariners 5-3 over the A's. In the 8th inning, it's the Dodgers 3-1 over the Diamondbacks. In the 7th, Astros 8-4 over the Angels. Some other scores that are final: the Giants 9-2 over the Rangers, the Cubs 6-3 over the Pirates, the Padres 8-7 over the Rockies, and of course the Orioles 6-3 over the Rays.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 12:35, we are back on the William Haynes Show talking everything sports. We just broke down tonight's Rays loss. If you want to talk some Rays, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. We have a line open for you, or you can tweet us at WHBC Stream, and we'll read your thoughts on the air. I was on Twitter during the break looking for maybe some quotes from the Zoom room following the game, maybe from Kevin Cash or whoever. Would love to hear what Kevin Kiermaier had to say about that potential home run robbery that bounced off of his glove, but I haven't seen anything yet, so we'll continue to monitor that and relay those to you as we get them. But instead of that, we are going to go through some news. At the top of the list, some more MLB virus news. Today's Cardinals at Brewers game that was going to be Milwaukee's home opener, that game was canceled. They're going to have a doubleheader at some point this weekend to make up that game. And if you aren't familiar with the new rule change, we talked about it yesterday. All doubleheaders are going to be 7 innings, so both games will be 7 innings in order to shorten them. Obviously, something that they've been doing in the minor leagues for quite some time, and now this season to alleviate some pressures, they are going to bring it up to Major League Baseball. There was 2 St. Louis Cardinals players that tested positive. Both were pitchers. We know that. We don't know who they are outside of that. Now, this is pretty disconcerting. I'm going to take a minute to talk about this. All the COVID-19 cases that we know of, at least that have canceled games, have all been on the East. So as you know, the American League and National League East only play each other. The Centrals and the Wests only play each other. So, and we talked, the real reason kind of it seems like that they're doing that is to keep the COVID tracing a little bit easier. If you've got teams going all over the place, that could certainly get out of control. So they've been able to contain it just to the East. It started with the Marlins, and now it's kind of affected some other teams, which can mess some stuff up, and it is. But now that it's in the Central, hopefully they can get it contained. I'm not sure if anything's going to happen if they play this weekend. I guess just trying to spend today instead of playing a game, trying to make sure that the people that have it are quarantined and, of course, out of harm's way and not giving it to anyone else. But they'll be back at it and making up that game on a 7-game doubleheader, I think probably tomorrow or potentially Sunday. And also, if a team is not able to play 60 games, their division slot or their seeding basically for postseason would be based on winning percentage, as with all these games getting postponed and canceled and whatnot, it's going to be near impossible, especially now with the Marlins, to get each team to 60 games. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen. So the St. Louis Cardinals and Brewers game was canceled today. That was a big bit of news. And also another big item for news, Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, warned MLB PA president Tony Clark that he could shut down the season if these tests continue. Obviously, as the commissioner of Major League Baseball, he has the ability to cancel this season at any time, and it seems like the health and safety protocol may not be taken entirely seriously right now by players. Of course, we see with the celebrations and even with the Rays, the high-fiving and stuff like that, that according to the health and safety protocol is not allowed. Of course, there was a bench clearing incident in Houston with the Dodgers, a lot of stuff like that. Local government officials are concerned. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure Manfred is being pressured from all different kinds of sides and angles right now. I'm not sure his intent in that move to make it public. I'm not sure who made it public, but that it was public, kind of warning the MLBPA that he could shut down the season. And now he's pretty much putting the ball in the players' court. If the players want to finish out this season, it's up to them to be responsible and to follow these guidelines and so on and so forth. There's been rumors, I don't think it was confirmed, Bob Nightingale of USA Today had put out there that the Marlins had spent time, I believe, in Atlanta clubs or something along those lines when they were playing the exhibition game, and now their COVID test, I believe, is up to 21 staff members. So yeah, as I said, Rob Manfred and the MLB are less confident as far as the 113-page health and safety protocol being enforced. They have added some new stuff with the masks, and there's now a new COVID compliance officer during the rain delay. They interviewed the one that's doing it for the Rays, who's an assistant trainer, and someone on Twitter, I think it was Mark Tompkin or maybe someone else, likened it to basically a COVID hall monitor. Just trying to make sure everyone is doing what the protocol says that they need to do. And as I was saying with the Miami Marlins, their COVID tests are up to 21 members of the traveling team, which is now just a little bit above 50% of the traveling team. The entire team were quarantining in Philadelphia, where they spent the opening weekend playing the Phillies. Now the Miami Marlins are busing those 21 members back to Miami. The remaining staff, I have no idea how this is going to work. I guess is going to try and play games this week, and I think they were supposed to play a game at Toronto, and some series up in the Northeast. So I don't know if they're going to be able to bring some players up in time from their 60-player pool, wherever they have them working out, if the Marlins are able to do that. So they could be getting, well, actually, no, now that I say that, the Miami Marlins games through Sunday were canceled, but the 21 members that are positive for COVID-19 are going back to Miami after being quarantined in Philadelphia for a little bit. The Phillies at Blue Jays game was not played today, and neither, of course, was the Nats at Marlins game. I have a tweet here from Scott Lauber. MLB postponements this week. The Phillies, 7 games. Marlins, 7 games. The Yankees and Orioles both had 4 games each suspended, but they were able to make them up as the Yankees had a 2-game set in Camden Yards. The Yanks taking both of those games, by the way. The Blue Jays postponed 3 games, the Nats 3 games, and of course today the Cardinals and the Brewers each 1 game. So obviously this trickle-down effect only just about a week into this MLB season is not exactly ideal. As we look down the news, that pretty much does it for COVID-19 stuff. Now, general MLB news. Aroldis Chapman was finally cleared to return. Of course, going into this season before opening day, he tested positive for COVID-19, so he was out of the mix. Yankees manager Aaron Boone said he was relatively asymptomatic and continued to work. He posted on his Instagram him working out in his apartment. He throws the 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and all that stuff. A very feared reliever. Zach Britton had done just fine in the closer role. Looked like the Yankees' pen was okay, but Aroldis Chapman cleared to return. Unsure when we'll see him back, but if he's asymptomatic and been working out like we saw with Tyler Glasnow, he will probably be in the mix sooner rather than later, especially with Tommy Kahnle, the reliever for the Yankees, who was put on the 10-day injury list going retroactive to Tuesday with a right elbow ligament injury. So Kahnle comes out, Chapman in. Not a bad little exchange there for the Yankees. Clayton Kershaw will make his first start of the season on Sunday versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was scratched just a couple of hours prior to their opening day game against the Giants due to back stiffness, which I think is something that he's dealt with a little bit in the past. With Alex Wood, one of their starting pitchers, going on the injury list, just like we talked about the Yankees, one pitcher out and a better one coming in. This one with Kershaw, who we will see for the first time of the year on Sunday. Probably won't go very far, you would assume, maybe 4 or 5 innings, but that Diamondbacks team, that certainly has not looked very good so far. And then going over to the Mets, we also have tonight's Mets game to talk about. They had a 7-2 lead and then a 10-5 lead, and they end up losing 11-2 in Atlanta. It was Dylan Betances blowing it this time in the bullpen, so more of the same for the New York Mets. But it was last night Edwin Diaz coming in with the Mets down a run, and he ends up giving up another run, leaving the bases loaded, only recorded an out. There was some fallout post-game, some quotes from both sides. Edwin Diaz says he wants to be used more frequently. He was coming into that appearance on 5 days rest, which is not typical for a reliever, or especially a guy like him that's a closer. I guess he kind of blamed his lack of control. He was walking a lot of guys on being out for so long, couldn't find his stuff. Luis Rojas is concerned. He said he had a talk with him. He said that Edwin Diaz is not the same pitcher right now that he was in summer camp, so I'm not sure exactly what that means. I did see an interesting theory today on YouTube. I'll post it on the Twitter at WHBC Stream. Remember, you can also call the show at 352-639-0036. We do have a line open for you. I did see a theory about Edwin Diaz, that when he came over to the Mets from the Mariners, the pitching coach changed the way he threw his slider, but the problem was it worked for other Mets pitchers like Jacob deGrom, among others. Instead of just a straight slider, it also had some cut. But the problem with Edwin Diaz is he's kind of more of a side armor, so the slider doesn't, I guess, slide, or the pitch doesn't work the way it's supposed to, and pitchers have been clobbering that. He set the record last season for most ninth-inning home runs allowed. He's already lost the closer job within the first week, so I guarantee you a lot of Mets fans probably would have put in some money down on that if they could have. They have Seth Lugo, Yuri's Familia, and Dylan Betances in the back end of a bullpen that still looks pretty good, but it was Dylan Betances, I believe, taking the loss tonight. He got blown up by the Braves. Actually, we'll talk about that right now just because it's relevant. We may go through the box scores a little bit later. We may not, but I wanted to get this Mets game out of the way because it certainly is going to be a big story if you follow New York sports, or I know the Mets are one of the bigger teams. So it was Rick Porcello getting him through 4 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. The offense, though, was working well. It was Dylan Betances only recording an out, gives up 4 earned runs, but it was Seth Lugo getting the loss. Also, his second blown save, got two outs and an earned run in. So a crazy game. Certainly one that would be nice to check out the highlights. An 11-10 Braves victory. Atlanta advances to 5-3. The New York Mets dropping to 3-5. They could easily be, they should probably be 7-1 right now, because they let a lot of games slip away from them. Some other news that we have here, we'll talk about hockey a little bit later, as games start as early as noon tomorrow, the NHL playoff return. NFL news, Antonio Brown, the NFL came down and handed him an 8-game suspension for violation of personal conduct, and he came out and said he won't appeal. I don't think they listed what exactly he violated, but there was some incidents that ended with him appearing in court, and I guess he had pleaded no contest to some charges, so not a great look. And you see, obviously, he has no grounds to appeal the suspension if he basically did the same in court. So Antonio Brown, although he is unsigned, this obviously is going to make him more signable. We saw Kareem Hunt, who had a suspension as a free agent, get signed by the Browns. I'm not sure if Antonio Brown will have that same ability, but an 8-game suspension for him. Nevertheless, moving on to some college football news, the Pac-12, a conference who had already announced that they were doing no non-conference, has announced a plan for a 10-game conference-only schedule. It starts on September 26th. The title game will be on either December the 18th or 19th. So it looks like that's where college football is headed. We've seen some other conferences, instead of starting early September, it's more going to be a late September start. Less games, of course, as well. So the end of the season is only going to get pushed back a couple weeks. And in the proposed schedule from the Pac-12 right now, USC and UCLA will play in week 1, which is just going to be a bit strange because they are teams that play usually on rivalry week, or I believe the week prior, but it's always been at the end of the season. So to have that week 1 is certainly going to be a lot different. They continued to say that there was a lot of flexibility in the schedule. There's going to need to be that, just like with the MLB, there's going to be stuff that comes out, and it's just how you adjust on the fly. I don't know if they're really going to be able to get these college football seasons in, but I know they're going to try everything in their power to do so. I think there's a great possibility that as time goes on, if the numbers still aren't where they want them to be, the season will get pushed out to the spring. But they'll have to cross that bridge when they get to it. I talked about it last night, but I'll reiterate it again. It was the ACC coming out and with a 10-game conference slate with an 11th non-conference game built in. We found out later that the reason for doing that was to preserve the handful of ACC-SEC rivalry weekend games. Of course, with Florida State, Georgia Tech, Clemson, South Carolina, and Louisville and Kentucky, the ACC found it as a priority to try and maintain those games, and shortly thereafter it was the SEC coming out and announcing a 10-game conference-only slate, so no non-conference. So, like the Florida State game will not be played in Tallahassee this year, which is a great shame, as I would have been a student there at that time. I still am going to be a student, but not being able to go to that game certainly isn't great. So some college football news continues to trickle out. Also, Notre Dame will be an ACC conference member for this year only, and they'll be able to compete for a conference title, which will certainly be a strange thing to see. We're going to head into another break. This time we'll give you the NBA scores. Remember, you can call the show at 352-639-0036. You want to call about the Rays loss or whatever at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. You can tweet us there as well. When we come back, we're going to talk some baseball and also preview the hockey, the first round of the playoffs. So we're going to head to a break. Don't go anywhere. HBC. All NBA games tonight in Orlando have gone final. It's the Spurs 129-120 over the Sacramento Kings. The Bucks 119-112 over the Celtics. The Suns 125 to 112 over the Wizards. The Trailblazers 140 to 135 over the Grizzlies. The Magic 128-118 over the Nets. And in a record-breaking game, it was the Rockets 153 over the Mavericks, who scored 149 points. James Harden scoring 49 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. We will be right back.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 12:54, we are back in the William Haynes Show. Call it William Haynes After Dark as we approach the 1 o'clock hour. Got some more sports to talk about. Before we got into anything else, there were some baseball notes that I have accumulated over the course of the day from some people on Twitter that I wanted to get out in no particular order or fashion. From Paul Hembo on Twitter, Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning in his career with the Mets. In 44 innings pitched, he has a 7.25 ERA, 16 home runs allowed, 79 base runners allowed, a 978 OPS allowed, and 8 blown saves. That tells you everything you need to know. No change from 2019 for Edwin Diaz late in the game for the New York Mets. He continues to be pretty putrid. For the Cleveland Indians, their starting pitcher Mike Clevenger allowed 3 earned runs in the first inning in tonight's game. Their loss to the Twins. That snaps Cleveland's team streak of 7 straight starts with at least 6 innings pitched and 2 or fewer runs allowed to start the season, which was tied for the longest such streak in MLB history. That is courtesy of ESPN Stats Info on Twitter. Of course, we've been talking about it. They had a couple of guys on back-to-back nights, each go 8 innings pitched. That certainly is going to be probably what carries this team to however far they go. Mike Clevenger getting beat around a little bit tonight. And also now a Rays. This one is from Eduardo Encina on Twitter. He was covering the Rays game tonight for the Times. Blake Snell, he went 11 for 11 on first pitch strikes in 3 scoreless innings. He retired 9 straight, as I mentioned. That was certainly the key for Blake Snell, something that he has not done in quite some time, establishing the fastball and then in order to expand the zone and then throw in the off speed after that. Really had a nice thing going, but then he came out to start a 4th inning and then gave up those back-to-back home runs and did not record an out, so it was 3+ for him. Didn't end up getting the loss, but didn't look great right at the end of that outing. Threw the ball just over 50 times, so I think it's still going to be a lengthy process in stretching him back out. So that's all we have for that. I guess what we'll do now is talk hockey, because I did promise that last night, and I do deliver when I say I'm going to do something on a show. Of course, wanted to remind you guys one more time, if you're listening, you can call the show at 352-639-0036 with any sports thoughts. At WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We'll go over some MLB box scores probably to close the show I'm not going to be on the air Saturday or Sunday night, as we go pretty much just during the weekdays. So we'll talk a little bit about the next two games against the Orioles for the Rays, and including we close out the show every night, previewing the next day's Rays game. Now, with the NHL, we do have quite a bit to talk about. I have not given it any airtime, really, until tonight. The NHL, they're going in a bubble just like the NBA. They're doing two sites in Toronto and in Edmonton, so the East and Western Conferences, respectively. They are expanding playoffs a little bit. Instead of 8 teams in each conference that qualify each year, there will now be 12 teams, the top 12 teams. And I believe there's 15 in each conference, so almost every team is making the playoffs. I'm including some teams like the Rangers, who got really hot towards the end but might not have made it in a regular season. The top 4 seeds in each conference will play a round robin just to seed them 1 through 4. And then the 5 through 12 seeds will play one best of 5 series. That's an elimination. And then after that, it's a traditional 1 through 8 seeding. So 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, so on and so forth. So the brackets for each conference, for the Eastern Conference, the round robin that we'll be playing is the Bruins, the Lightning, the Capitals, and the Flyers. They will each play each other one time, and that will order the seeding there. We'll give our predictions at the end. And then the qualifying rounds, the number 5 seed Penguins will be playing the 12 seed Montreal Canadiens. The 6 seed Hurricanes will play the 11 seed Rangers. The 7 seed Islanders will play the 10 seed Panthers. And the 8 seed Maple Leafs will play the 9 seed Blue Jackets. And in the Western Conference, in the round robin, it'll be the St. Louis Blues, the Colorado Avalanche, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and the Dallas Stars. And in the qualifying rounds, it'll be the 5 seed Oilers playing the 12 seed Chicago Blackhawks, the 6 seed Predators playing the 11 seed Coyotes, the 7 seed Canucks playing the 10 seed Wild, and the 8 seed Calgary Flames playing the 9 seed Winnipeg Jets. Now, with the predictions, I'm not a huge hockey guy. I do follow it a little bit, but friend of the show, Aaron, who's a big hockey guy, we're not having him on tonight, but we did collaborate in these predictions. We'll probably have him on as these NHL playoffs are underway. The qualifying rounds start tomorrow, so that's why we're kind of previewing them tonight. Our predictions for the round robin in the Eastern Conference, we believe it'll go like this. It'll be the Capitals 1, the Lightning 2, the Bruins 3, and the Philadelphia Flyers at 4. And in the Western Conference, we believe it'll be the Golden Knights at 1, the Avalanche at 2, the St. Louis Blues at 3, and the Dallas Stars at 4. Now, the East really is a toss-up. It could really go either way. It is going to be a little bit different. Although they have played exhibition games, they haven't been playing real for-record hockey. So I think in just, each team playing a game against each other, it could get a little bit weird. Seeding is not super important either, so I'm not sure how much they'll approach it from a competitive standpoint. And in the West, you could flip-flop probably the Golden Knights and the Avalanche for 1 and 2, but we'll go for the Golden Knights getting the 1 seed for this exercise. And now, for our predictions in the qualifying round for the East, the 5 seed Penguins and the 12 seed Canadiens, we predict it'll be the Penguins winning that series in 5 games. Remember, it's a best of 5, so the first to 3 wins advances basically to the traditional postseason. The reason we go Penguins in 5, unless Carey Price, the Canadiens goalie, plays out of his mind. The Canadiens are outmatched by Sidney Crosby and the rest of the Penguins. Also, the Montreal Canadiens were swept by the Detroit Red Wings in their season series. And as we move on, the 6 seed Hurricanes and the 11 seed Rangers, we have the Rangers winning that series in 4 games. Carolina is missing some of their guys to start the series. They may be ready in games 3, 4, and 5. And the Rangers goaltending is better. Now, the Rangers do have a decision to make as far as what goalie they're going to go with. They have three. They have Alexander Georgiev, who I think has the most starts and also maybe the most wins. Henrik Lundqvist, the guy that's been there forever, really good in the postseason, but has not played very well this year. He's in the back nine of his career, well, probably the back three, or even worse if you want to be honest about it. And then Igor Shesterkin, the young prospect. I think he's 10-2 so far this season. Right before the break, he ended up getting in a car accident, and he was going to miss some time. So it certainly helps the Rangers that he'll be back healthy now as the season was pushed back several months. I think the Rangers should go with Shesterkin. They may start off with Lundqvist because of the postseason experience, but we'll see. Either way, their goaltending is better than the Hurricanes. And with the Rangers offense, Mika Zibanejad, he had a 5-goal game. Chris Kreider, who's really coming on strong, who they just gave an extension. Artemi Panarin, who's been a great free agent signing. The offense is really great. The defense not so good, but Shesterkin covered up a lot of that when he was at his best. So give me the Rangers in 4 to win that series and advance to be the 8 seed. The Islanders, the 7 seed, and the 10 seed Panthers. We have the Islanders taking that one in 4 games. Barry Trotz's defense for the Islanders is built for the postseason, unless Bobrovsky, who's the goalie for the Panthers, plays really well. They're probably not going to score enough goals to be competitive. And also the Islanders, a team that has played pretty well this year. Give us the Islanders in 4 to advance. And then the final qualifying round series, the 8 seed Maple Leafs and the 9 seed Blue Jackets. We have the Maple Leafs taking that one in 4. The Maple Leafs offense is too good to lose. Guys like Austin Matthews, they've got guys top to bottom, score a bunch of goals. Anderson, the goalie, is not always great, especially in the postseason. Last year, I believe, against the Bruins, kind of came apart. But I think it'll be enough, at least against Columbus, to get that series. Give us the Maple Leafs in 4. Now, one thing, a lot of people have been predicting some sweeps. Me and Aaron do not think it is going to break that way. With teams having to come back, go into the bubble, train for all these weeks, I don't think they're just going to give up and lose a 5-game series in 3. I think each team, even teams like the Canadiens or the Blackhawks or whatever, they're going to be able to at least eke out a win because they're going to be giving the team on the other side of the ice their absolute best. So with those predictions, we believe the 1 through 8 seeding will be Capitals at 1, Lightning 2, Bruins 3, Flyers 4, Penguins 5, Islanders 6, Maple Leafs 7, and Rangers at 8. And those playoff matchups would be Capitals and Rangers, Lightning and Maple Leafs, Bruins and Islanders, and Flyers and Penguins. There's some good potential there, no doubt, if things do end up breaking that way. We won't make any predictions for those series unless we know who's playing in them for real, so we're just going to give qualifying round predictions right now. So that will probably, I think, eke, if they go 5, probably into next Thursday or Friday or so. We have the Western Conference coming up next. We're going to take another little bit of a short break. Remember, you can call the show at 352-639-0036 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. We will be right back.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Stream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for William's world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCstream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
WHBC. And at 1:08 here on the Saturday morning, we are back on the William Haynes Show talking some NHL opening round previews as we move over to the Western Conference. Our predictions for the qualifying rounds: the 5-seed Oilers and the 12-seed Blackhawks. We have the Oilers taking that one in 4. Connor McDavid and Draisaitl will be too much for the Blackhawks to handle. Patrick Kane and company will get at least one win, though, and in order to avoid the sweep. But their team, certainly that weren't headed for the postseason in a regular year, and they'll be bounced quickly. The 6-seed Predators and the 11-seed Coyotes. We've got the Predators taking that one in 4 games as well. The Coyotes don't have enough offense to keep up. The Predators have lots of guys that can get the puck in the net. Moving on, the 7-seed Canucks and the 10-seed Wild. We actually have a little bit of an upset there. The Minnesota Wild winning that series in 5 games. The Wild, a boring but effective play style will at least get them into the first round of the playoffs over the Canucks that maybe won't be able to match them the right way. In the final series, the 8-seed Calgary Flames and the 9-seed Winnipeg Jets. We have the Jets taking it in 5. It honestly is a toss-up. It's the toughest, probably, series to call. The Jets goalie, Connor Hellebuyck, will make the difference there in that one. Obviously, in the postseason, when a goalie gets hot and, goal prevention and all that stuff matters just so much more, especially in a 5-game series over a 7. Of course, as we were saying, don't expect any sweeps, and Game 1 will be crucial in such a short series when you only need 3 wins out of 5. If you can get Game 1, it's pretty much downhill from there. And our 1 through 8 seeding, as we expect it to be, it'll be the Golden Knights at 1, the Avalanche at 2, at 3 it'll be the Blues, at 4 the Stars, the 5-seed Oilers, 6-seed Predators, 7 the Jets, and 8 the Wild. So those matchups would be the Golden Knights and the Wild, the Avalanche and the Jets, the Blues and the Predators, and the Stars taking on the Oilers. So some good matchups there as well. Probably just going to go in about another 15 minutes or so in the show, talking some MLB baseball, talk some more Rays as they head into another couple of games over the course of the weekend against the Orioles. Just wanted to remind you that you can call the show at 352-639-0036. We do have a line open for you at WHBC Stream is the Twitter as well. I recommend give that a follow. The link automatically gets tweeted when we go live. I guess we could do some more Rays takeaways. The lineup still isn't where it needs to be. I couldn't find any quotes from Cash and company. That we may not get that kind of stuff until tomorrow. It was Choi, the lefty, or I guess now the switch hitter, but listed as a lefty, getting the leadoff spot against a right-handed starter in Alex Cobb, but was relatively ineffective, 1 for 4 and a walk. So he did reach base a couple of times, but in the big spots when they needed him, didn't necessarily come through. Brandon Lau at the 2 spot getting that home run, but did not work a lot of great at-bats either. Willie Adames I like in the top spot. Renfroe has kind of gone back into a slump. He's still only batting 192 after that two homer game he had a little while ago. Kevin Kiermaier going 0 for 4 with a strikeout and that miscue in the outfield. I think especially against the lefty starting pitcher Wade LeBlanc, we are not going to see Kevin Kiermaier in the lineup. And then you got guys like Manny Margot, who's only batting 136. He's not giving you much either. He's made some nice plus plays defensively, but that's about all you're getting out of him. I guess what we can do now is go through some of these box scores and do some takeaways there, and then put a wrap on this bad boy, as I'm sure you are just as tired as I am here, as we are in the 1 o'clock hour here on the William Haynes Show. William Haynes After Dark. The first game of the day, it was the Minnesota Twins getting a 4-1 win over the Indians. The Twins advanced to 5-2. The Indians dropped to 5-3. It was Dobnak getting the win for the Twins, going 5 innings. Taylor Rogers the save. Sergio Romo, former Ray, recording a 1-inning hold. And on the Indian side of thing, it was Mike Clevenger taking the loss in 4 innings. Gives up 4 earned runs, and the bullpen was clean from there on out. For the Twins, it was a Max Kepler homer, a Rosario double, and an Avila homer in a 4-1 win. For the Twins, they look pretty good to start off the year, and now the White Sox getting a 3-2 win over the Royals. The White Sox advanced to 3-4. The Royals dropped to 3-5. It was there was no decisions, or actually no, it was Bubic getting the loss for the Royals in 4 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, and Dallas Keuchel getting the win. He's now 2-0 for the White Sox and 5 1/3, 2 earned runs on 7 hits, only through 92 pitches. And Alex Colomé, another former Ray, getting the save for the Chicago White Sox, who again advanced to 3-4 after a bit of a rough start for him. The Detroit Tigers 7-2 over the Reds. The Tigers certainly are turning some heads this year. The Tigers advanced to 5-3. The Reds dropped to 2-5. It was Turnbull getting the win for the Tigers in 6 innings pitched, a couple of earned runs, and Luis Castillo, one of the Reds' better starting pitchers, taking the loss, 6 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs. And offensively, Austin Romine driving in some runs. That's about it. I mean, the Detroit Tigers, not a lot of guys. Miguel Cabrera went 0 for 4. CJ Cron 1 for 4. He's a guy, a former Ray, that's been hitting some homers for the Tigers, and a Reds lineup that's been relatively quiet. Joey Votto 0 for 4. He's 259. Eugenio Suarez, who had 50-plus home runs last year, he went 0 for 4. He's batting .080 on the season. And then didn't get any production out of their other guys as well. So the Reds dropping to 2-5. Not a good start for a team that was expected probably to make the postseason. We talked about the Braves and Mets already. I won't go into that anymore than we have to for anybody listening that's associated with the Mets. The Yankees getting a 5-1 win over the Boston Red Sox in the Yankees home opener. Finally, here it was. The Yankees advanced to 5-1 on the year. The Red Sox dropped to 3-5. As we look at the starting, it was Ryan Weber, who is now 0 for 2 for the Sox, 3 1/3, 3 earned runs, 4 hits, and it was Jordan Montgomery getting the win for the Yankees. Went 5 2/3, an earned run on 5 hits. The only relievers they had to use Chad Green, Ottavino, and Holder. They'll be getting Aroldis Chapman back soon. Looking at the American League East standings, the Rays are now in second place. They're 2 games back of first, 3-game losing streak. They're now at 500 after tonight's loss at the hands of the O's, a game that they really, in all honesty, should have won. As we continue to move up, the Mariners get a 5-3 win over the Oakland Athletics. The Mariners advance to 4-4. They're back up to 500, and the A's dropping below at 3-4. So some shakeup in the American League West. It was Sean Manaea, who's now 0 for 2, taking the loss. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 6 hits, only threw 69 pitches. So Sean Manaea reeling from that wild card loss last year against the Rays, I suppose, has not looked good to start this season. And it was Walker, who's now 1-1, getting the win for the Mariners. Taiwan Walker in 7 innings pitched, gave up only 1 hit, walked 2, struck out 8 through 94 pitches. So he got deep into the ball game, and the Mariners get a 5-3 win. Honestly, their lineup, not a lot of guys stand out. J.P. Crawford, they have Kyle Seager. I mean, guys like that. But that's really about it. Ethan White. And as we move up, it was the Diamondbacks getting an upset, 5-3 over the Dodgers. I'm sure the starting pitcher for the Dodgers probably wasn't great. It was Gonsolin getting a start, 4 innings. I only gave up a hit, no earned runs. I guess it was kind of a bullpen day for him. Blake Trinan, former really good reliever for the A's, getting the loss and a blown save. Is that there's no way that's Joe Kelly. Am I seeing that right? Joe Kelly appeared in the game tonight. I guess that must mean that he's appealing his 8-game suspension. So that's strange. Joe Kelly coming in to record an out. So that's kind of funny. Mookie Betts homered. Corey Seager homered. But it was not enough. The Diamondbacks, as Zach Gallen, the starter, went 6 innings. It was their bullpen getting the win, and Bradley getting their second save for him. The Diamondbacks lineup, as we've talked about, not bad. They've got pieces. Ketel Marte, Cole Calhoun, Starling Marte. They've got guys, not an incredibly deep lineup, but the top is certainly not easy to face, and they get a win tonight over the Dodgers. Looking at the NL West standings, it is the Padres in first at 6-2. The Rockies at 4-2 are tied with the Dodgers, who are 5-3 now. So the NL West now has become really interesting. The San Francisco Giants, I want to talk about at 4-4. I'm not sure if they played today, but Mike Yastrzemski, I watched a Giants game the other night. I mean, he was absolutely going off. 2 home runs. I think he's batting like 400 still. We'll talk about that game actually. Yeah, right now the Giants 9-2 win tonight over the Rangers. The Giants advancing to 4-4. The Rangers drop to 2-4. It was Mike Minor taking the loss for Texas, going 5 2/3, 6 earned runs on 9 hits through about 100 pitches. And for the Giants, it was the bullpen getting the win as their starter Webb couldn't get through 4. But they do get a 9-2 win. As we take a look at the scoring, of Flores homer, and that's about it. Obviously, a lot of base hits, things like that. And a competitive NL West. Mike Yastrzemski, he went 1 for 3 tonight with a walk. He's batting .414. 528 is the on-base percentage 8 games into the season. He looks really good. Longoria was 1 for 3, scored a couple of runs. Former Ray. So the Giants win 9-2 over the Rangers. The Cubs get a 6-3 win over the Pirates. The Cubs advance to 5-2. The Pirates dropped to 2-5. It was Trevor Williams taking the loss for Pittsburgh. Yu Darvish, who's now 1-1, getting the win for the Cubbies. Darvish goes 6 innings, gives up no earned runs, just 2 hits and 86 pitches. Craig Kimbrell coming on in a save situation, gave up a couple of homers, 2 earned runs. So Craig Kimbrell's struggles continue, but he ends up, the Cubs come out on the winning end regardless. It looks like now this is probably the Cubs' division to win, as they're a couple of games up on everyone else right now. Milwaukee's second at 500 at 3-3. Their game against St. Louis today, of course, was canceled. A couple more games to talk about. The Padres eking out another win in Colorado, 8-7 over the Rockies. The Padres advance to 6-2. The Rockies drop to 4-2, so they're not a bad team either. It was the bullpen taking loss for Colorado. Bullpen decisions all around. Pomeranz, the save for San Diego. Emilio Pagan, I know a guy that has not been working out for San Diego very much. But Fernando Tatis getting a couple of hits. Tommy Pham going 2 for 5, 4 RBIs. He's now up to 267, the average. Manny Machado knocking in a run. He's batting 226. I mean, that is a tough lineup to face. And it's proven itself to a 6-2 record. The pitching has been pretty good as well. And it looks like the only other game that we have down to their final 3 outs, it is the Angels down by a score of 9-6 to the Astros. We'll pop open the box score right now. Obviously, we won't have the decisions for them. But it looks like it will be the Astros advancing to 4-3 if they can close it out, and the Angels would drop to 2-6. So a rough start for Joe Maddon's Angels. Matt Andriese getting the start for the Angels. He only went an inning and 2/3, 4 earned runs on 4 hits. It was Lance McCullers Jr. getting the start for Houston. He went 4 innings pitched. Also gave up 4 earned runs, so not a great game for the pitching staff. As we look, anybody that's had a good game, Yuli Gurriel, George Springer. I mean, you know the names, the good lineup. Anthony Rendon is back in lineup for the Angels, but with Mike Trout on paternity leave, certainly isn't going to help things. I don't know how much time he's going to have to miss when he finally does come back, but it doesn't look like he will be enough to get this Angels team turned around. They were supposed to be pretty decent. I was buying some stock in them, certainly trying to sell that. Right now, as we put a wrap on the show, we'll talk a little bit more Rays, then get on out of here, probably at about 1:30 or so. Just wanted to give it to you one more time. You can call the show at 352-639-0036. Wanted to just take a second to thank everyone that's tuning into the show tonight. And if you like what you hear, follow at WHBC Stream on Twitter. The link immediately goes out on there when we go live on Spreaker.com. We also have a chat feature built in on the stream for you to give your thoughts. So just about the last thing that we have to talk about is the preview for tomorrow's game. It is Tyler Glasnow, who has no decisions yet, a 2.25 ERA on the mound for the Rays the second time through the rotation. And his first start of the year was this Monday on the 27th of July, a no decision versus the Atlanta Braves. He went 4 innings pitched, gave up a hit, walked a couple, but did strike out 9 and gave up an earned run. That was a solo shot, I believe, to Dansby Swanson. That was when the Rays got the franchise record, 19 strikeouts. I mean, that shows you everything you need to know, packing a punch. 9 strikeouts in just 4 innings pitched. As he continues to get stretched out, I think he's probably going to be the best starter that the Rays have this year. Hopefully it'll be enough. But the Rays now dropping down to 500. They're going to have to get things turned around in a hurry. And on the mound, starting for the Orioles, it is the lefty Wade LeBlanc, who's 1-0 on the year, 6.25 ERA. In his last start on Sunday, the 26th, it was a win at Fenway against the Bo Sox. Went 5 2/3, gave up 4 hits, didn't walk anybody. Struck out 4 earned runs, charged to his name, a couple of home runs. So maybe the Rays right-handed hitters will be able to get some home runs. So that changes things. That is only the third left-handed pitcher, a starting pitcher that the Rays have faced. So that will shake up the lineup. And I would have to assume, as they did yesterday, it'll be Yandy Diaz back in the leadoff spot. He did go 0 for 3 tonight, batting .095. So scratch that. We're going to have to find a new right-handed hitter to lead off. Obviously, I would expect Kevin Kiermaier to not be in the lineup. Probably Mike Zunino catching again. So I'm trying to look for a right-handed hitter that could lead off. I don't think Willie's ready for that, but you could just mess with it. He's been probably one of the Rays' best hitters as of late, especially from the right-handed side of the plate. No one else that really stands out to me that could lead off. You might just go with another lefty and do Brandon Lau, but not a whole lot of options. I mean, the offense really has just been stagnant. I mean, you look at the on-base percentage, and it's been all right. A lot of walks worked, but just not aggressive enough in at-bats. Taking a lot of strikes early in counts, and then you get into late counts, and you're swinging at stuff that you should be taking. It should be really the other way around. You jump on the stuff early in counts, and if you can work a late count, take that ball 4 instead of swinging at it, swinging and missing, or just a weak ground ball, or whatever's been the case. The Rays can't get runners on when they need it, and even when they do, they can't move them across. The long ball hasn't really been there too much. I know that's not what they're built for, but they've added a little bit of that as we're going to go ahead and put a wrap on the show. We're not going to be on the air Saturday or Sunday, but we will be back on Monday. There's going to be a lot to talk about. Some NHL hockey, those series getting underway. NBA basketball continues. There are some entertaining games tonight, but not really a whole lot to see the next couple weeks as it's just playoff seeding. Some MLB baseball. Hopefully the Rays, the next couple of games, can get back on the board in the win column. Facing the Orioles, you got to think they're going to take 2 out of 3. Hopefully the bats will be a little bit better. I like the pitching staff. Hopefully Diego Castillo gets some more time tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you Monday.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC.